Hi ladies, I hope all is well with you. I hope that you've been enjoying these videos. I've gotten a lot of feedback. A lot of women are enjoying learning more about the women of the Bible. I'm really excited about that. I'm excited that you guys are excited. Is that crazy? I've used the word excited like a million times, but I'm so excited. I love that you guys are enjoying this study and that you're enjoying the discussion. And I love to hear feedback. Please send me your emails. Please send me your emails at theologyofwomen@gmail.com, or DM me or message me here. Subscribe to the channel. I just love hearing from you, hearing about how the study is impacting your life and how you're really enjoying learning more about the women of the Bible. So today we're going to talk about Noah's wife, which we learn her name. It's so crazy to me that so many women of the Bible are not named in the Bible. So I'm really excited that we're gonna talk about Noah's wife today. Yay! So here we go. We're talking about Noah's wife, which we find out her name is Naamah. Or Naima. I'm not really sure how I'll pronounce that. I really need to talk to my friend. We're social distancing right now, so I don't see her as often as I would like, but she always tells me about the pronunciation of the names in the Bible. She's so good at it. And then somebody told me about you can use Google, so I'm gonna figure that out. I told you guys I'm not that tech savvy. I'm still figuring this out, so bear with me. I hope that you have been enjoying the videos despite my challenges. I hope the content is so good that you're ignoring my challenges. But we're talking about Noah's wife, and we find out that her name is Naima, which means pleasant. And I feel like this speaks to her demeanor. It speaks to who she is. I think more times than not in that time, people were named based on their personality or the spirit that their parents may have felt when they came into the world. Names had way more meaning than they do today. I think sometimes we do have some cases where people name their babies and it has meaning, but a lot of times people just pick random names or names that they like, or names that sound good, or it's my husband's name mixed with my name, or it's my middle name and my dad's middle name. You know how creative we get. So her name is Naima, and it means to be pleasant. Actually gonna have to read through her husband's story to find out more about her, because she's not really mentioned with regards to who she was and what her life was like. We're gonna definitely have to make some assumptions based on the story of Noah. So if you wanna know about Noah's wife, Naamah, the passage is Genesis 6, 9 through 23, 7, 1 through 24, chapter 8, 1 through 22, and then chapter 9, 1 through 28. We are definitely not going to read through all of that. It will be posted on the little graphic. You guys know, you see I figured out the graphics, right? But it'll be on the little graphic. If you want more details, again, you can always email at theologyofwomen@gmail.com and join the email listing and get more information. I'm telling you, that email listing, I've gotten so much feedback on that. People love that information. It's right there at their fingertips. They can go through the videos with the notes and with the scriptures. So I strongly advise you to join the email list. So again, that's at theologyofwomen@gmail.com. Passages are, again, I'm going to repeat them and then you'll see them on the graphic. It is Genesis 6, 9 through 23, Genesis 7, 1 through 24, and then Genesis 8, 1 through 22, and Genesis 9, 1 through 28. Now, I'll read a little bit of that so we can get a gist of what her life was like by reading through Noah's story, but I won't read through all of it just for time's sake. I like to keep these videos short. so I'm not taking up too much of your time. And you know, I know that women are juggling a lot, so we have to cram our me time into small little blocks of time. So I want to respect that. I am the same way, so I'm going to respect that and try to keep these videos short. So I will not be reading through all of those passages. I will list them for you and make them available for you to read through either before you watch the video or after you watch the video, whatever is most convenient to you. So I'm going to read a little bit of the Genesis 9. And of course, I'm using my computer again, ladies, instead of my actual physical Bible. I have an aunt that's going to kill me. But so the passage again is Genesis 6, 9 through 23. We'll start there. And this is the story about him, Noah. Noah was the only person who lived right and obeyed God. He had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So while Naima is not mentioned in here, at this point Noah is married to Naamah, and those are her sons as well. God knew that everyone was terribly cruel and violent, so he told Noah, "Cruelty and violence have spread everywhere. Now I'm going to destroy the whole earth and all its people. Get some lumber and build a boat. Put rooms in it and cover it with tar inside and out. Make it 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and 45 feet high. Build a roof on the boat and leave space of about 18 inches between the roof and the sides. Make the boat 3 stories high and put a door on the side." Now this is very specific. God is telling him all the details of how he needs to build it. This passage makes me think of times when people are like, "Oh, God told me to do this, but he didn't give me the details." I think he did. I'm always thinking, I think he did. Because he seems very detail-oriented with regards to the instructions that he gave to Noah. However, the instructions that he gave to Abraham were not as specific. If we think back to Sarah and Abraham, if you've watched the video of Sarah and Abraham and you joined the virtual study, you know that God told Abraham to go, but he didn't specifically tell him where he was going until he got to the place where God told him to. As he was traveling, God was like, "Okay, stop here." But he did not know where he was going, and he didn't get specific instructions. But here we see God being very detailed in the messages that he gives Noah. Let's read on. We're at Genesis 6. We're at verse 17. So I'm at Genesis 6, verse 17. "I'm going to send a flood that will destroy everything that breathes. Nothing will be left alive, but I solemnly promise that you and your wife," see, this is the mention of Naamah, your wife, "your sons and your daughters-in-law will be kept safe in the boat. Bring into the boat with you a male and female of every kind of animal, every bird, male and female, and every reptile. I don't want them to be destroyed. Store up enough food both for yourself and for them." Noah did everything the Lord told him to do. So here we see that God calls Abraham. Here we see that God calls Noah to basically it is kind of like the same instruction that he gave to Abraham. Pack up everything, pack it all up. But here, not only does he tell him to pack up his family, but he's like, take every animal, male and female. So he's giving Noah a more detailed instruction than he gave Abraham, but both were told, yeah, pack up everything because it's time to go. As we move on to Genesis 7, in Noah and Naamah's story, we see God giving even more instructions to Noah on what he should do with regards to leaving, to pack up everything, because he's getting ready to flood the earth. So the Lord told Noah, take your whole family with you into the boat, because you are the only one on the earth who pleases me. Now, I want to pause there. because this is an implication of Naamah's character here. God doesn't just specifically say that Noah, that he approves of Noah. God also says that he approves of Noah's family, which includes Naamah. So we can conclude that Naamah was a woman of good character, a noble woman, a woman pleasing to God, because here she is mentioned in the family of Noah that God approves of, and he says, hey, take them all on the boat. Let's move on to chapter 7. This is Genesis chapter 7, verse 2. Take 7 pairs of every kind of animal that can be used for sacrifice, and 1 pair of all others. Also take 7 pairs of every kind of bird with you. Do this, so there will always be animals and birds on the earth. 7 days from now I will send rain that will last 40 days and nights, and I will destroy all other living creatures I have made. Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking back of how detailed those instructions were with regards to building this boat. I'm also thinking about the fact that Noah did not have the technology that we have today or the tools that we have today for building. And God's like, you have 7 days to build this monstrosity of a structure, and you have to fill it with every living creature that I've made, but leave all of the humans behind. Yeah, that's a tall order. And Naima, his wife, his helper, his helpmate, is commissioned to this task as well, because his job is her job. It's her job to help him in this. So this is a tall order. In 7 days, they have to build this monstrosity of a boat to house all of the animals and their family. I'm gonna skip down because it's just more of what God instructed him to do. Oh, well, no, let's read through 5 and 7 because I think his wife is mentioned. There's another reference to Naamah in that part of the passage. So again, I'm in Genesis 7. We're at verse 5. Noah was 600 years old when he went into the boat to escape the flood. 600 years old, sweet Lord, and did everything the Lord told him to do. His wife, his sons, and his daughters-in-law went inside with him. He obeyed God and took a male and female of each kind of the animal and bird into the boat with him. 7 days later, the flood began to cover the earth. So again, this is just reiterating that Naamah was included with regard to God's opinion or God's reverence of Noah and what a good man Noah was. Okay, so again, I said I wasn't going to read all of these passages just for the sake of time, but because there isn't much information on Naamah, I feel the need to read a lot of this so we can talk through it. So again, we're still in Genesis chapter 7, but I'm going to skip down to 17 and 18 so we can learn more about like the time span. For 40 days, the rain poured down without stopping. Now, if you live where I live in Ohio, you're used to that. That wouldn't be that disturbing to you for it to rain that long. But if you lived in like California or Florida or Texas, yeah, that's a lot of rain. So I just want you to think about what their emotional states may have been of being in a boat. There's no humans but their family and lots of animals, lots and lots and lots of animals. It makes me think of that depiction that the movie version of Noah that starred Russell Crowe. Was it Russell Crowe? I think it was Russell Crowe. And some of that was accurate with regards to telling the story. I mean, a lot of it was embellished and they added parts for entertainment purposes, of course, but some of the visuals gave you an idea of what the passages are explaining to us right now. So for 40 days and 40 nights, they're in this boat and the water's just getting deeper and deeper. and the boat starts to float. And the mighty flood is so deep that even the highest mountain peaks were almost 25 feet below the surface of the water. There's no land to see, you guys. They're just out on this boat. This isn't a Disney cruise. This isn't like your honeymoon or the Norwegian, whatever those cruises are called. This isn't that. This is you on a boat with your 3 sons, your 3 daughter-in-laws, and your husband, and all of these animals. That's what this is. You are not, there's no buffet. You're not going to the captain's dinner. There is no water slide. There is no line dancing. There's none of that. This is not a luxury cruise line. But you're all on this boat and there's no land in sight. If we read on through 8 and 9, it just talks more about their experience on the boat, the time in which they were on the boat, and then Noah really kind of reaching out to God, sending out a dove every time to see if it was going to come back with some piece of land in its mouth to indicate that the water had receded. Eventually it does, and they are basically restarting civilization. Noah, Naamah, and their 3 sons and their 3 daughter-in-laws. And though we won't talk about the 3 daughter-in-laws in discussing the named and unnamed women in the Bible, we can include them in the story of Naamah, that they were as noble and of good character, and that God thought highly of them as well, because he could have said, just take your sons. Or he could have told Noah to just go him and Naamah, but God told him to take Naamah and his sons' wives. So those women were also included with regard to God's appreciation for their character. So we can resolve that they were of high noble fiber as well, because God was planning to restart the earth, repopulate the earth from Noah and his family. Now let's talk about who Naamah is biblically. So remember, ladies, we have been talking through these women of the Bible, ladies and gentlemen, because I've actually had some men looking at these videos. I don't want to exclude you guys. But remember, we've been talking through who these women are biblically, theologically, and then talking about the application included with regards to their story and their journey. So I don't know if I have the right paper in front of me. Oh, here we go. So Noah's wife biblically, talking about Naamah biblically. So remember, her biblical significance is her position in existence and her physical relevance. So that being said, Naamah is a mother, she's a daughter, and she's a wife. Most women are those 3 things. Now, not all women are those 3 things. Not all women are daughters. Not all women are daughters, but not all women are wives and mothers. But I talk through all of them, and you apply which one fits for you. I don't want to discriminate and say, oh, this is just for the married women and this is just for moms, because it's absolutely not. Every story of the Bible touches us in a different way and applies to our life in a different way. So I don't want you to feel excluded if you are not a mother or a wife, or you're choosing not to be a mother or wife, or if you feel like God has not called you to those things, or if it's a personal choice, or if it just hasn't happened for you yet. I want you to bypass all of that and identify with I want you to identify with the character traits with these women, whether you're a wife or a mother or not. So, biblically, Noah's wife, Naamah, she's a daughter, a wife, and a mother. But what do we find out? We found out her name means pleasant. So we know she's pleasant. We also know that she's submissive. She went on the boat with Noah. There is no indication that there was conflict or disobedience or any type of, attitude towards Noah that would communicate, hey, I'm not going on this boat with you. Also, she was kind. Because her name means pleasant, we can make the assumption with regards to the fruits of the Spirit. Remember, we're going to talk, been talking through that with every other woman, talking about the fruits of the Spirit that they may have. And I'll give that passage again before I wrap up, just in case you guys want it. I'll make a slide for it. Now that I've learned how to do that. So I'll make a slide for the fruits of the Spirit. But her biblical relevance, her position in existence is she's a mother, a wife, and a daughter. With regards to her relevance in God's plan biblically, well, we can flip back to Genesis 1:26 through 27 when we talked about Eve. Remember, we talked about Eve, guys, and we learned the term Imago Dei. So if you go back to Genesis 1:26 and 27, it says, then God said, let us. So if you go back to Genesis 1:26 and 27, it says, then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female. Naamah's biblical relevance with regards to Imago Dei, you have to think about how she was a representation of the female portion of mankind, just like Eve was, with regard to God repopulating the earth. So in the beginning, God created mankind, which would be Adam and Eve, with Adam being the male representation and Eve being the female representation. So now God has flooded the earth and destroyed every evidence of mankind, and the only humans left are Noah, Naamah, and their sons and their daughter-in-laws. So now the responsibility that Eve had is now on Naamah with regards to repopulating the earth and representing the portion of mankind that is female. So that is what her relevance is to God's plan, because again, as I stated earlier, God could have easily chosen to just have Noah go on the ark by himself, or he could have had Noah go on the ark with his sons, or with his sons and his daughter-in-law. He could have easily excluded Naamah. But because God included Naamah and told Noah to take his whole family, including his wife, we can make the connection that Naamah is now an extension of Eve with regards to holding that responsibility of representing the female in the portion of humankind, with regard to our relationship with God and being made in his image, which brings us to Imago Dei. Also transitions us into Naamah's theological importance with regards to her position in the Bible, or her story in the Bible. So we talked about Genesis 1:26-27. That leads us into her theological relevance with regards to representing the female portion of mankind as God decides to repopulate the earth from the descendants of Noah. We also have to talk about the covenants. Now, since we talked about Sarah and Abraham, we think about the covenant with Abraham that God made to bore nations out of him, which would be from his son Isaac. Now God has made a new covenant with Noah, and or an extension of that covenant. There were many different versions when I researched this, many different opinions about, does Noah really have a covenant with God? Is it the same as Abraham? And as we talk through the Bible more, there's a covenant with David, there's a covenant with Moses. So There is a lot to unpack here, but again, I like to keep these videos short, which is why I love when you guys sign up for the email listing as well as subscribe to the channel, because it gives you an opportunity to get more information with regards to the Bible, and you can gain better understanding that they're just not stories that you're reading about, but you're actually getting the biblical and theological context of the story, and then application of how you can apply it to your life. So Naimah's theological relevance starts with her importance to God's plan, her relevance to God's plan with regard to a model day. So then we can also take it further and go into Genesis 2:18, where it says it's not good for man to be alone. So she served two purposes. She served the purpose of representing the female portion of humankind as God decided to repopulate the earth. She also served a purpose on a more human side of a helpmate to Noah, because God knew that it wasn't good for a man to be alone, that he needed a helper to help him stay on task. So her theological relevance is so important. It's very parallel to Eve. When you go back and if you've already watched the video of Eve and you've read through the email and the contents of Eve, you understand the importance of God deciding to make female. Also, when you think about God telling Noah to take everybody on the ark, or take all of the animals on the ark, he said, make sure that there's two of every kind, male and female. Well, that would include humankind. And we have to also consider Naamah's importance, because he could have just taken the wives of the sons and used them to repopulate the earth, but he also included Naamah. So we want to definitely recognize her importance with regards to her theological relevance, her spiritual relevance, her the relational expectation. That's what that is with regards to Genesis 2:18, which is a parallel passage. It's about the relational expectation between man and woman, that it's not good for man to be alone. So God said, you know what, Naamah's got to go as well, because she is the new Eve. So if you think about all of that, we can draw conclusions on who Naamah was, because God did include her on the ark. He did not exclude her. He did not say, you know what, Noah, just leave her and she's going to die in the flood. I had a question come up in an email that said, well, maybe God knew that Noah, like God knows how much we can take. He never puts more on us than we can bear. And maybe Noah wouldn't have been able to bear losing his wife. But I think about that, but I take pause with it, because I'm like, but God was trying to repopulate the earth and he was not taking any chances. He could have had Noah take another wife. He could have had Noah not marry Naamah, because if as Christians, we have the belief that God is in control of everything and that his plan is already in place. God already knew that it may come a time that he would call for Noah to do such a thing. And knowing that, he had to know who Noah was going to marry, and that woman would repopulate or be in the line of repopulating the earth. So we can draw the connection or the conclusion that Naamah was a woman of great character, highly regarded by God, because she was included on the ark. So that's her theological importance in the Bible. And what we can draw from that, the practical application we can draw from, is that, you know, it's funny that we didn't even know her name. Like, if you don't study the Bible, we wouldn't even know her name. So just think about that with regards to with regards to how we live today. And we want our names to be known. We want our titles to be known. I mean, I can respect that because we've earned it. I mean, I have lots of degrees, have lots of rewards, lots of titles, and I am sometimes offended when people don't recognize that, because I'm like, man, I worked so hard at that. I really sacrificed a lot to accomplish all that I've accomplished. However, with regard to God, there's no respect of person. He just doesn't even really care about or give any importance or hierarchy to titles and things like that. So even the fact that he left her name out speaks to her humility. As we talked through the fruits of the Spirit and which fruits of the Spirit she had, she was very humble, her humility, which speaks to the peace, the inner peace that she may have had with regards to having to go on the ark. I mean, as we talk through these women, I want to say that Noah's wife, Naamah, is up there with regards to character and who she was, because God just revered her because he put her on the ark, and to not name her speaks to her humility. And we see no conflict from her. I mean, we've talked through Eve, who was strong-willed and wanted to bite the fruit. We talked through Sarah, who was again strong-willed and took matters into her own hands with regards to trying to make an heir for herself, trying to facilitate God's plan in her timing instead of waiting for his timing. And we've talked through Hagar, I think. So all of those women have very strong personalities, and you could see their attitudes were mentioned in their past event, which to me sends us a message that she was a woman of high regard, that she was a patient woman, that she was carrying all those fruits of the Spirit that we should be practicing. She had them. She was a noble woman of great character. It also makes me think of the Proverbs 31 woman with regards to her virtues, that Naamah had them way before the Proverbs 31 woman. So practically, we can think about practicing humility, not being so concerned about our names being known, but our character to be shown. And also to think about just being pleasant, no matter what the task is, to just be pleasant. She was helping her husband build this gigantic boat without the means that we have today, and we see no pushback, no complaint. There's no portion of this passage that says, and Naamah stomped off angrily or refused to help her husband make the boat, or refused to go in the boat. So practically speaking, we want to be a woman that is of high regard like Naamah. I think about my reputation and what my reputation would be. And I want to be known as an ambassador for Christ. I feel like when I'm going out, I'm representing Christ at all times. Many people know that I'm a Christian. Many people know that I'm a believer. So I have to represent Christ very well. I feel like Naamah did that without us even knowing her name. Her character preceded her. And I feel like that's what we should be aiming for and striving for practically with regard to her story. So I hope you've enjoyed the discussion of Naamah today. I hope you've learned a lot. Every video I talk about what you should be praying through, most definitely be praying through being a woman of noble regard, practicing humility, being a true representation of Christ if you are already a believer, and protecting God's reputation by being a good Christian and practicing that in your everyday life, and working on those fruits of the Spirit. I'm always going to return to that because, like I said, that is a great foundation if you are questioning what it looks like to live as a Christian every day. The Spirit are characteristics that we should be demonstrating as Christians, as believers, as ambassadors of Christ, as protectors of God's reputation. We should be practicing those fruits of the Spirit. So that's all I have for Naima today. I'm so glad that you guys tuned in. If you're watching these in order, actually, it should be Eve, Noah's wife, Sarah, Hagar, Lot's wife. In that order. But if you're not watching them in order, that's okay too. Pick the ones that you like the most and watch them first. It really doesn't matter. I'm trying to go in order so for my own sake, so I don't miss any of the important women, because a lot of times the passages about women are very quick and very short, and I don't want to miss any. So I'm gonna try to keep going in order, but you by all means do not have to look at the videos in order. Please look at them at your own pace and at your own rate, and I hope that you're enjoying them. So if you want to get more information about any of the women that we're discussing, please join the email listing. It's theologyofwomen@gmail.com. That's one phrase, theologyofwomen, all lowercase letters, @gmail.com. And of course, I'll put up a slide. Subscribe to the channel down below so you'll get updates of when new videos are being posted. Not only are we going to do the study of the women of the Bible, I'm also going to talk